Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture is My Life. Now, in this episode, I want to ask a certain question that I hope answers many individuals' questions or concerns globally. And that is, how can you tell that your body is actually attacking itself? Can you answer that? Because so many individuals globally are experiencing certain symptoms. They have no clue as to what's going on, and many are attempting to self-diagnose. And unfortunately, more times than not, going to Google to answer your questions, you come up wrong. And this is why, again, I say over and over, along with seeing a physician on an annual basis, make regular visits with an acupuncturist. Because experiencing some of these symptoms, you'd have an answer to right away. And a treatment protocol would be designed for you to deal with the issue. All right? Understand something with regard to your body attacking itself. You see, we all have an immune system. And it's that initial line of defense whenever we're hit with some type of pathogenic factor. And when that happens, in acupuncture, that's called the protective chi or the Wei Chi. It's one aspect of your immune system, which kicks in and then starts like setting off all of these white blood cells, different types of substances within the blood to neutralize the pathogen. But guess what? Sometimes your immune system can go a bit too far, become overactive, and begin attacking the body's own organs and tissue. And that's not good. And this is called autoimmune disease. And a lot of the symptoms relative to various autoimmune disorders tend to be very uncomfortable and debilitating. And there are many individuals experiencing this globally and have no clue that they're faced with an autoimmune disorder. Let's take, for instance, let's say, if you're experiencing pain in your joints. This can be rheumatoid arthritis in which you're experiencing, which is an autoimmune disorder. Because now your immune system, in this case, would be attacking the lining of the joints. Therefore causing like swelling that's really, really painful. Signs of rheumatoid arthritis. You see, there's upwards of, I would say, around 45% of individuals that are affected with this disorder, that being rheumatoid arthritis, tend to experience, let's say, symptoms that don't even involve their joints. They can experience symptoms, let's say, that involve or have issues with their skin or their eyes. And you see, rheumatoid arthritis can wreak havoc on various body systems, and that being, again, the eyes, the skin, the heart, the lungs, and a person's blood vessels. You see, an acupuncturist understands that the cause of this disease can be due to various deficiencies, allowing for exterior pathogens to invade the body, or it could even be due to living, like, let's say, in a damp environment for an extended period of time, or even working in a damp environment for years. And a person would contract wind. Now, wind is an exterior pathogenic factor that carries many diseases with it. Or a person, let's say, can be affected by cold or dampness or even heat. And there are basic patterns that follow rheumatoid arthritis and can be diagnosed by an acupuncturist. Let's say, like, even wind, cold, damp as an impediment, right? Symptoms to wind, cold, damp is diagnosed or could be diagnosed by an acupuncturist would generally present at its initial stage, where, this disorder hasn't gone on too long, where there could be one or several joints that can be swollen and painful. But the affected area isn't necessarily hot or red. It can more or less feel cool or cold. And that's what helps an acupuncturist determine whether it's a wind, cold, damp pattern. Where there would also be, let's say, like early morning stiffness and numbness and heaviness of the joints with restricted movement. And let's say when the joints feel cold, the pain gets much, much worse. But when heat is applied, it feels better. In this case, the pain usually aligns itself with changes in the weather, and cold weather would make it worse. So there may be accompanying symptoms of, let's say, aversion to cold. A person can also experience loose stools, clear and long urination. Now, in its early stages, an individual may not experience fever or chills, and they may not even sweat. And this is while experiencing pain in the joints. So the responsibility of an acupuncturist is basically to expel this wind that's become internal now, because it's carried the pathogenic factor into the body. And also dispel the dampness and basically warm the internal channels. But like I said, heat can play a part, and this can be considered wind damp heat to an acupuncturist. And this pattern is usually observed when this disorder is acute, in its acute stage and active stage of a flare-up of rheumatoid arthritis, where an individual can experience like joint swelling, pain, heaviness, and there would also be some restriction of movement. But the area of the joint that's really painful, or joints, it'll be hot to the touch. But now when you apply, let's say, something cold to the joint, it lessens the pain. But now when rheumatoid arthritis is as a result of, let's say, wind damp heat, other symptoms would be sweating, fever, aversion to wind, thirst, but you won't desire to drink though. You'll feel thirsty, but you'll ignore it. Your urine would be slightly red, believe it or not. Whereas in a case such as this, an acupuncturist will look to clear heat and disinhibit dampness and dispel the internal wind to free up basically the flow of chi throughout the networks. Okay? So rheumatoid arthritis, I mean, there are several other patterns that can follow, let's say, chi in blood deficiency with its phlegm stasis. Or extreme heat that can damage a person's, the yin aspect. It can be due to liver blood, kidney yin and yang deficiency with phlegm and stasis involved. I mean, there are several patterns. And I'm hoping that this gets you to understand why I say it's good to make regular wellness visits with an acupuncturist along with seeing a physician on an annual basis. But now, what's another sign that the body's attacking itself? Inflammation. And that can be tied to, let's say, lupus or arthritis. Because a typical sign of autoimmune disease is inflammation, where there would be, it can cause, let's say, redness, pain, heat, swelling. And inflammation is a major flag relative to a number of autoimmune conditions. But the most common one is like lupus. And women more so experience or are often diagnosed with lupus. And this can range between, let's say, the ages of, guessing 17 to about 45. Wide range of symptoms are tied to lupus. And that can include, let's say, fever, fatigue, stiffness, joint pain, swelling, and even a rash on the face. It can also be as a result of arthritis as well. You see, an acupuncturist understands that this disorder, that being lupus, can be due to various deficiencies, contraction of a number of external pathogenic factors, along with unregulated emotions, unregulated eating, as well as drinking. Excessive sex can even play a part. Let's see, a basic pattern. Let's say one of the patterns that can be tied. And I don't even want to say one of, but a pattern that can represent, let's say, lupus, where there will be, it can be like heat that damages a person's yin as well as their chi. Where there will be, let's say, vexatious heat, spontaneous sweating with heart palpitations. A person can feel like oppression of the chest and shortness of breath with cough. Deficient vexation, insomnia. And you see, this vexation or agitation, it can be pretty severe. the four extremities, let's say that being the arms, hands, legs, feet, can feel cold. They can lack strength. In a case like that, like an acupuncturist would look to like clear this internal heat, vexating heat, nourish a person's yin, boost their chi. Again, another pattern of lupus can be, let's say, even when damp heat. Damp heat can cause or be a representative pattern of lupus. Where in this case, in its early stages, a person can experience, let's say, severe joint pain, especially in their toes and fingers. Ankles too, as well as the wrist. And this pain could migrate to several joints. They can experience fever, dry throat, oral thirst, muscle aches and pains, weakness of the limbs, swelling of the joints. As an example, even in a case such as this, an acupuncturist will look to dispel the wind and eliminate the dampness, clear internal heat. You see, there's so many benefits to seeing a physician annually and regular wellness visits with an acupuncturist, because if your body was attacking itself, it'll be discovered right away. Another, basic sign or symptom can be numbness or tingling. Are you experiencing that? That could be multiple sclerosis, which is also an autoimmune disorder, where the body's immune system, by accident, is actually attacking its own healthy cells. And this clear, like, it's called myelin sheath, that tends to cover your nerves. And when it tears away or eats away at that, destroys it, nerve signals being relayed to the brain and back to the area become affected. It can lead to various neurological symptoms. And this tingling and numbness tend to be one of the earlier signs. There can be vision problems, which more times than not tend to affect one eye over the other. There can be problems with your balance. You can experience trouble walking, fatigue, stiffness or weakness of the limbs. You see, to an acupuncturist, there can be various causes of this disease, let's say being affected by an exterior pathogenic factor or internal engenderment of damp heat or unregulated diet or overtaxation of the body. And it goes on. This is why it's important to sit with an acupuncturist, because they'll explain this to you. And they will put together a treatment protocol based on pattern discrimination. Just, let's say, a pattern of MS can be, what can it be? Let's just say, let me think of one. Phlegm heat. Internal phlegm heat. Okay. Now, excess phlegm in the body is not good for you. Okay. Where main symptoms can present is like muscle atrophy and wilting and weakness of the extremities. And it can be accompanied with fever. An individual can experience numbness of the limbs and insensitivity tending toward paralysis. There can also be head distension, chest depression, ringing of the ears, a decrease in visual acuity, nausea, thirst without desire to drink. Those are signs of internal phlegm heat. Patient can also experience or face a pattern, let's say, what's another one? It could be damp heat that can damage the sinews, and it's in its early stage. There can be, let's say, an abnormal sensitivity to heaviness and sort of like a cumbersome sensation of numbness in a person's limbs, which can be followed by wilting and weak limbs, drooping of the hands, the feet, loss of the use of limbs. Other symptoms, let me think, can include, let's say, chest as well as abdominal oppression, there are several patterns that can be tied to MS, to multiple sclerosis. But it's best to sit with an acupuncturist. I'm just trying to give you examples so you can attempt to get some type of basic understanding of how certain disorders are viewed by an acupuncturist as opposed to a medical doctor. There really isn't no opposition, it's just the difference. Another sign or autoimmune disorder can be Crohn's disease, which is like a type of inflammatory bowel disease, where your immune system will begin to attack your digestive tract, therefore causing chronic inflammation. And you can feel like, as a result of that, let's say you can experience diarrhea, there'll be abdominal pain, fatigue, you'll notice blood in your stool, weight loss. And these symptoms can range from like, not too bad, to like really, really severe pain. And an acupuncturist understands that there are certain environmental excesses that can cause this disorder, as well as unregulated eating and drinking and taxation fatigue. And there could be, and treatment protocol would be designed based on, again, pattern discrimination. An example could be, let me think of one, damp heat stasis, internal heat that becomes static, and there's dampness, causes stagnation. Intestinal abscesses, where, let's say, the main symptoms can include lower abdominal pain on the right side, where when you press against it, it feels like, oh man, excruciating. It's really severe. And you can feel a lump in that lower right quadrant. There'll be some distension of the skin, and you'll want to like lie in a curled up position. There'll be aversion to cold. It can be nausea, vomiting, fever. What else? Let me see. It can even be a reduction in appetite. Another pattern of Crohn's disease can be like, let's say, damp heat developing internally, where there'll be anal fissures and fistulas. Like a person can experience anal pain, dripping of fresh red blood while defecating, a sagging and distended sensation in the anus, sticky stools, itching around the anus, and it'll be like damp in that area. And again, I'm just giving you some like light examples as to how it can be interpreted by an acupuncturist that, you have Crohn's disease. Another sign that your body's attacking itself is like you can begin to experience issues with your skin. Now this can be psoriasis or lupus. Yeah, skin issues. Just like Crohn's disease is problems with your stomach, you can also experience issues with your skin. Which can be a common sign of an autoimmune disorder. You can notice, let's say, a butterfly rash on your face. It'll develop over, let's say, both of your cheeks and your nose. That's a sign of lupus. Now, if you notice with your skin that it's overproducing skin cells. And there'll be like these rough red patches, silvery scales. That's a sign of psoriasis. Psoriatic arthritis can also be involved. It can be joint pain, redness, and swelling that would accompany the scaling of a person's skin. See an acupuncturist if you're experiencing this. Why would you not? Yeah, sit with your physician and discuss it. But see an acupuncturist. What can be another sign? I would say even like type 1 diabetes, where you're experiencing high blood sugar. And this is where, or when a person's immune system begins to destroy the cells of the pancreas. And those are the cells that are responsible for generating insulin, which is a hormone that assists the body process sugar and turn it into energy. And without that, a person's blood sugar can rise to like dangerous levels, damage the blood vessels, and increase a person's risk of heart disease, stroke, blindness, dementia. But this disorder, this autoimmune disorder, is usually diagnosed during childhood, although it can develop at any age, but usually during childhood. And a person would experience, let's say, frequent thirst, increased urination, constant hunger, fatigue, as well as even unintentional weight loss. You have to understand something. As a board-certified doctor of acupuncture, I understand that health is wealth. I understand that the wealth is not in an app on your phone or in the stock market. It's not in the bank. It's not in the safe. It's not in your pocket or in your purse. It's not under the mattress or in the shoebox in the closet. It's not even under the doghouse in the backyard. The wealth is in you. And once you fully understand that, you'll make acupuncture a part of your life. Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?